Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy September 15, 2025 to you and yours. We don't get to say this often, but it is a Buccaneers game day. I'm rocking the Tom Brady. I guess it's technically a throwback. Somebody got this for me, and I really, I never thought in a million years I'd wear a Tom Brady jersey. But, hey, when in Rome, we're here in Tampa, baby, and he brought us the Super Bowl, so hey, we got to show love to the GOAT. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. If you're a Buccaneers fan, you're probably feeling pretty good about your chances tonight. If you're a Saints fan or a Carolina Panthers fan, your season's probably already done. So if you have friends that live in New Orleans or friends that live in the Carolinas, I do. One of my best friends lives in North Carolina. A tough putt to the start of the football season. You're probably looking forward to something else. But yeah, a heck of a matchup tonight between our Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Houston Texans. So going to be fun. Plenty to get into today on the program, including what went wrong with our USF Bulls. We'll tackle that at about 12:20 today. Ian Beckles joins us at 12:30. We'll also talk about all the other games in the NFL and college, and also the big boxing match between Terrence Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Unbelievable. I always want to hear from you guys. Questions, comments, concerns, put them there at the bottom of the screen. If you want to get in on the conversation, joining us via the laptop or the phone, there is a stream right there, StreamYard.com/BEFYDKWRXN. Yes, got the new haircut, fresh to death. We the best, nothing less. That's how we roll. Still trying to fight off this chest cold. I've had it for about 2 weeks now. Battling through, baby. I'm battling through. I feel there's just something about the rush of being on the air that kind of gives you that little extra boost of energy. We had our first baseball tournament this weekend for the 13-year-olds up in Inverness. So a long weekend out on the field. A lot of sleep yesterday. Watched the finale of King's Court with our guy Titus O'Neil, which was really cool. So good to see him and Carlos Boozer and Tyson Beckford on there. And that show has now come to a close. So we wish our guy Titus, Thaddeus Bullard, all the best in his future endeavors with his loved one. Again, leave those. I want to hear from you guys today. It's going to be a Victory Tuesday tomorrow, but we're having fun on a Monday. David Terry gets in first today. Benny, where are you at? Hope you had a great weekend, everyone. Go Bucks. Benny is in the house. So is Janet. Janet with the 3-hole today. Appreciate the nice words. Lady Evil, happy game day. A little nervous about tonight. Yeah, we'll get into that here in a little bit. Lady Evil, how did your show go over the weekend? We definitely want to know. Greg, I don't know what this is, buddy, but if it means let's go Bucks, we'll take it. No doubt about it. Carlos Becerra, let's go Bucks. You got that right, buddy. Adam Cartwright, rough weekend, but the goals are still ahead of us. You got that right, my friend. We'll get into that here momentarily. Dolan, what's up, Jay and everyone? Happy Monday, great weekend. I figured Gators would lose. Not surprised that Miami overmatched USF. Yeah, I thought if the Gators had some semblance of a clue what was going on, I think they could have won that game against LSU. Eric Moreno, if you want to come on, bud, yeah, you're more than welcome. No doubt about it. Maurice Tucker is in Houston. Let's go. Maurice, if you want to call in from Houston, man, we'd love to hear from you. Here's the link right there. Just click on the link in the chat. StreamYard.com/BEFYDKWRXN. If you want to join in, Maurice, we'd love to hear from you. Dolan, Tennessee had it. Field goal, bloody hell. Notre Dame defense sucks. There you go, buddy. Eric Moreno, give me a shout. Robert Cochran, sad day Saturday, but 11-1 is in reach. Yeah, I mean, the big thing now, if you're USF, is focus on the conference. Go win you a conference championship. It is what it is. Put it behind you. Just go from there. Yeah. I mean, one thing, and it's like, you're watching a lot of football, especially across the NFL. There's just not a lot of like good play. There's just a lot of like you watch. Even I still have a guy like I love Kevin O'Connell. You guys know about that Minnesota Vikings head coach and OC play caller. But man, JJ McCarthy look rough. And you just look at some of these players throughout the league and some of the football. It's bad. The Jets bad. I mean, it's just my God. You see Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence fighting on the sideline. Yeah, that's the guy you wanted. That's the guy. No thanks. Jake Coburn, happy game day, everyone. Fire the cannons. Fire the cannons is right. And shout out to our guy, Nathan Elliott. Hello, Tampa Bay. Jay Recher. Hello. Jay Recher watchers. You got that right, my friends. All right. Some big news, and we were mentioning from over the weekend. As I told you guys on Friday, are we going to get worried about the Buccaneers because of Luke Gedeke? Well, I said as much as I was apprehensive about it, it was still a little bit of a wait-and-see approach on Saturday because we knew that was the last practice day open to the public. And if Luke Gedeke missed that day, then I would be worried. But good news to the Buccaneers. Luke Gedeke will be in there. We also know that Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs. For anybody that said, oh, they're going to get in, they're going to play. No, man. Think about what we've been talking about the whole time. These guys haven't even practiced with the team. Like in full pads and everything and just like a full go. So just them being there at practice, I mean, it's a long process. It's going to take some time. So if you were surprised that they got rolled out for this weekend, you really haven't been paying attention too much. Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs out for tonight, fine. Luke Gedeke look like we're trending towards playing. So if you could have Luke in there, it's going to be a tough putt because you're looking at a much different pass rush. And to Atlanta's credit, their defense last night against the Vikings looked a whole hell of a lot better than it did in week 1 against the Buccaneers. But that line of Graham Barton, Jordan, Bredesen, Malk, and Luke Gedeke, I mean, it's a tall task. It's a tall task tonight against Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. So with those two guys, we know that Baker's not going to be sitting there a ton, sitting back there waiting for all these routes to develop. He's got to get the ball out of his hands quick, and you know that D'Amico Ryans and the Houston Texans know that. One thing that you all have to notice early on is how the Buccaneers run the football. And one thing that we spoke about with Ian for many years, and it's not just recently, but for years now, it's not always how many yards you gain. It's how many times you rush the football. A lot of times you can tell a team's success by the attempts rather than the yards. You want to stay as close to 50-50 as you can. Yes, you want to keep the defense off balance, but you want to be able to wear that defensive line down. Ian will tell you, offensive linemen want to go forward. They don't want to go back in pass protection. They want to impose their will on the opposing defenses. So regardless of who it is, whether it's Bucky, whether it's Sean Tucker, whether it's Rashad White, we got to see at least what, 25 to 30 rushes tonight. 25 to 30. Run, and run some more. I think it would behoove the Buccaneers to almost have a little bit more of a lower scoring type game plan tonight, just to be able to run the football. And this is not something that they always do as far as dominating the clock and winning the time of possession, because sometimes they can get up and down the field pretty quick and score. But running the football is going to be key tonight, and taking the crowd out of it. There's so many advantages and positives that you get from running the football. So I really hope that this is something that Josh Grizzard, and listen, he's a young play caller, right? As much as we think like, oh, he's going to do well, he's still got room to grow. It's only his second game tonight calling plays in the National Football League. So for me, he's got to show that sign of maturation too. Yeah, you were in on the passing stuff last year, but what can you do to show us that this is a running attack that we saw last year from Liam Cohen? Because now you see Travis Etienne, second straight game, pretty damn good for the Jags. We got to see that here with the Buccaneers. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. Robert Cochran, Bucky can run on any defense in the NFL. Bard Hill, he is in the house. If we're going to go deep in the playoffs, the so line is a step up. We're about to see where our depth is. If you guys want to contribute, again, the link is right there in the chat. Come join us here on the program. Our guy Eric Moreno is in the house.
What's going on, Jay? How you doing, man? How was your weekend?
How yourself?
Yeah, like you said, You got to run the ball 25, 30 times. Keep it. Can't throw the ball 50 times. On that defense. Falcons said, they should have had. They could have had 3 picks last week. We could have lost that game. So can't have those throws from last week. So So you think Gedeke plays tonight? You think?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think he plays tonight because I don't think he practices on Saturday if he doesn't play. I mean, I think if he didn't practice on Saturday, there'd still be a chance to play tonight. But knowing that he had something wrong with him, they were probably going to hold him out all week. That they did. Then you have him practice on Saturday. Sunday is the travel day, and you get ready for tonight. I think he'll be okay. We'll see, but I think he'll be in there tonight.
And both said it was a different injury than Vita, so could it be like a bruise? And I guess Vita's foot just woke up sore or something like that?
Yeah, you never know because sometimes they tell you certain things. They don't tell you the whole thing. But, you're going to need Luke Gedeke, and he's so tough. He's going to be able to play through any kind of minuscule type of injury.
And he traveled too, so they would have you would think they would have ruled him out if he was going to play. He would have been ruled out, and he looked like, he didn't have no wrap, no boot, So, and he was barefoot. You don't walk barefoot. At least have like a compression sock to take some pressure off the foot.
Yeah, it's a good point. Our friends at Joe Bucks fan let us know that it didn't look like he was a guy that was really hobbling around too much. So, listen, especially early in the season, you want to be precautionary, and if you have one of your guys that is going to be one of your starters pretty much all year long, there's no reason to be like, hey, let's push it early on in the season. I've said this before. It's not about being healthy week 2. It's about being healthy week 15, 16, 17.
In the playoffs.
So if you can mitigate some of the worries that you have about a guy's injury by having him sit out a couple of practices in September, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. You Wirfs next week against the Jets, or you sit him until Philly?
I'd probably sit him until Philly, unless he practices this week. If he practices this week, I think he'll be ready to roll. But if you win this game too, you're up 2-0. Neither one of these are divisional contests anyway either. So your first goal is definitely going to be focusing on winning the division. Interconference play, these are both AFC games too. So, I mean, the Jets, they don't look very good either, man. And you're probably going to play against a backup quarterback in Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, and concussion protocol. So this isn't the same old Buccaneers of, hey, we lose to backup quarterbacks either. Top Bowles loves that kind of stuff.
Who's their third quarterback if Tyrod went down? I mean, Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields are pretty much the same quarterback. Taylor's more, of a vet.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, Tyrod Taylor, even though he can make plays with his legs, like he's not going to make as many plays with his legs as Justin Fields does. I mean, Justin Fields and him running the football is a huge part of his game.
Yeah.
Where Tyrod Taylor, he can use his legs to move around, but you're not going to put the same amount of running plays into your offensive system as you would for Justin Fields. I don't know who their third string guy is, but we're definitely going to learn that name over the next couple of days. That's for sure.
Okay. Hey, Junior Caminero, 44 home runs. Do you think he gets to 50? He's gonna hit 46 and tie Carlos Pena.
Yeah, I think I don't think he'll get to 50, but I'll say 47 is probably a good number.
48.
48. There we go, brother. I like it.
That's about a home run every 4 games.
Yeah,
go Bucks. 2017 Bucks tonight over Texans.
You're the man, Eric. Thanks, pal. So, yeah, good stuff, Eric Marino. As always, chiming in. We always want to hear from him. We always want to hear from you. Let's see. With Burrow going down, how fortunate are we to have Teddy Bridgewater? He's a nice insurance policy. The team could go south easily with one injury to quarterback. Yes, and I'll give you my 2 cents on Joe Burrow's injury a little bit later on in the program. One thing that we got to see tonight from the Buccaneers is, you tend to fall into habits of a team of you lose to backup quarterbacks, like I just said. You can't win in prime time. Well, you're going to have to fix that. You have to be able to win in any scenario. And I was just watching something with Chris Long yesterday and talking about the Buccaneers, about how they're about to walk through the door of, elite teams in the National Football League. Well, elite teams are going to get a shit ton of primetime games. You're going to play on Monday. You're going to play on Thursday. You're going to play on Sunday night. Like, it's no excuse. Like, this is a prove-it type game. Same thing we said with USF in the first game against Boise State. It's a prove-it type game. Enough of the excuses, enough of the moral victories, enough of we can win these games, but no, I don't want to hear that anymore. Go out there and win the freaking game. Go out there, fire the cannons like our guy Honest Hammer. Check out Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. Scan that QR code. We got our second sponsor of the J Recher podcast starting next Monday. Cannot wait for that. But, of course, we always remember number one. You always remember your first love. It's our friend Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, all your residential and commercial needs. Again, 813-244-0956. But just as I alluded to a couple weeks ago with the USF Bulls against Boise State, enough with the moral victories, enough with the silver linings, enough with the we can win certain games, but no, forget that. I'm good. Show me that you can change something that you haven't done well and go out there and win this game tonight against the Houston Texans. Now, ideally, you're on the road. It is a primetime game. You're facing a team that's got a pretty good pass rush with a makeshift and a shuffled offensive line. You know that you don't have Chris Godwin or Jalen McMillan, Tristan Wirfs for a while. But, I tell you what, your defense is going to have to show up against C.J. Stroud. You're going to have to contain Nico Collins. Whoever they're running back, Nick Chubb and company, you're going to have to be able to shut those guys down. These are the type of games that Super Bowl champions win. These are the type of games that just teams that are division winners and teams that'll win a playoff game or two, this is a game they lose. Like this is the difference with the Buccaneers. We saw it last year. 2-0, home game against Denver, huge letdown. They lose to Sean Payton and the rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. That can't happen if you're a team with Super Bowl aspirations. It can't. No excuse. I know they got a good defense, but there's no excuse. You're relatively healthy in that game too. If you lose a game to Philly or you lose a divisional matchup, like those things happen, right? If you lose to a top tier team, right? If you lose to a Detroit, if you lose to a Philly, if you lose to like Pat Mahomes, if you lose to Baltimore or Buffalo, like to me, those are games like, hey, man, like it's a toss up. Sometimes it matters who's home, whatever. You lose a divisional game to Carolina, New Orleans, or Atlanta, whatever. Like you'll lose two like you did last year and still make the playoffs. But there's certain games. There are certain games that you should win if you're about it, if you're gangster. This is the type of game you got to win. You are a better team than Houston. Division crown, I don't care. You are a better team than Houston. I think your quarterback's better. I think your running game's better. I think your overall tandem of wide receivers are better. You for sure know your offensive line is better. Okay, your defensive line, your pass, they have that. But if that's all they got, you have to win this game. This offensive line is awful. The Houston Texans offensive line is terrible. This is the game you got Hassan Reddick for. This is the game where Yaya Diaby shows that he is a guy that can get 10 sacks a year. This is a game Chris Braswell has to come off the bench and do something. The Bucs pass rush is going to dictate whether they win or lose this game tonight. Because I still think Houston's going to be able to get theirs, but just like we saw last year with Detroit had a bunch of sacks. Remember that? Justin School getting tore up. Who won that game? Bucs. They found a way. Because defensively, they held Jared Goff in check. So for all the people that are going to be talking about the offensive line and how important that is, you're going to probably give up a couple of sacks tonight. That's okay. Don't turn the football over. Don't turn the football over. Run the football over. And I think it's on the Buccaneers pass rush to do something tonight. Go out there and pose your will. Because I truly believe that the Buccaneers offensive line, even though it's like freaking musical chairs, I still think that offensive line is better than what Houston is running out there. They had a terrible offensive line, and then they traded their best player, their best left tackle in Laramie Tunsil. This is the game. This is the reason why you went to go out and get Hassan Reddick. This is the game for Yaya Diaby. Those are the two guys I'm looking at tonight. Yaya Diaby and Hassan Reddick. I want 5 sacks today from the Buccaneers. If they get more than, let's say if they get more than 4 sacks, 4 or more sacks tonight, I think the Buccaneers win this game. That's the sign I'm looking at. You got to get to the passer. And enough of the pressures and almost and all that bullshit. I'm sick of that. Get after the damn quarterback. Thank you, David Velasquez. Appreciate you. Dave Velasquez in fantasy. I'm up 106-90 with Mbuka and the Bucs defense versus Bucky. Yeah, I think you got this, W, buddy. I think you got it. If you guys ever get a chance to play IDP, independent defensive players, do it. I did it. I got Roquan Smith with one of my first picks. He had 46 points for me in fantasy. 46. Woo. Unbelievable. What a night. I also have Evans. I'm up by a lot, but I still have Evans, Bucky, Chase McLaughlin, and Danielle Hunter. So, playing both sides. Questions, comments, concerns, put them there at the bottom of the screen. Always want to hear from you guys. Again, if you want to join us via the video chat, it is right there in the chat there. All right, guys, so let's mention this. We got to talk about it. USF Bulls. An absolute ass kicking at the hands of the Miami Hurricanes. And if you watch that game, it got uglier and uglier and uglier and uglier. I feel weird when it comes to the Bulls because there's a big part of me that says, listen, bro, you should get to a situation where you should be happy that you're 2-1 after 3 games. Because I think a lot of people would have been happy with 1 and 2. I get that. But it also is a little sobering to know that it just shows how far away the Bulls are from contending nationally. And that's always just a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow. Now, if Miami goes on and they're a top 5 team and they're a college football playoff contender, then maybe you feel a little bit better. I don't know if I don't know Coach Golis doesn't believe in this, but I don't know if there's many positives to take away from that game, man. I think you just kind of scrap it. There's certain games you just kind of rip and you throw the tape away. This might be one of them. They got a nice, tough matchup with South Carolina State, A&M, little Mary Sisters of the Poor, Blind Cats. They got a nice little refresher, but the goal at the end of the day is going to be to win this conference. Win the American. You got to get back on track. And that starts obviously with Byron Brown, unfortunately through an interception. But getting Alvin Isaac involved, making sure that we know with Nimrod, with the deep passes and all these different things. Defensively, Mac Harris and Jalen Schuler kind of holding the fort down there. Reset, reload, and just focus on the goals at hand. I think 2-1 after 3. I'm sure if you ask any Bulls fan going into the season, they would certainly take that. Karen Clemente, hey, Jay, sorry I've been MIA for the past couple of weeks. Go Bucks. You got that right. And Karen, I think we're a week away from the preseason opener for the Lightning. I know you're excited about that. Let's go to one of our USF guys, Adam Cartwright in the car. That's right. What's going on, buddy?
Not a whole lot. A little bit of a rough weekend, but, it's like, agree with everything you said. You kind of take it with a grain of salt. It is what it is. 2-1's a great spot, and everything we wanted to do in the beginning of the season is still there. So
I kind of feel like I feel weird that I'm like a little disappointed, right? Like I get to a point of like, I don't know if I was spoiled or not, but I look at the situation with USF and I go, maybe I'd feel a little bit better if it was closer. Like, I don't know where I'm at, Adam. Like, Part of me looks at it and goes, all right, well, they got blown out. It just shows like, all right, let's focus on the conference and then go from there, baby steps. And I'm glad it wasn't closer, because if it was a little closer, then I would have thought like, damn, man, maybe they are, right?
Yeah.
And then the other side of me is like, shit, man, I wish it was a little closer, right? I would have felt a little bit better. Maybe they stay in the top 25. Where do you fall on that?
I'm disappointed in how we looked up front. And I do realize that it's a very big, very physical, probably very expensive offensive line that we went up against. But if your front four isn't going to pressure Carson Beck, I don't think anybody beats Miami. Period. So you're a little disappointed with how we looked there. I think that's probably going to get right next week. And really, that's kind of something I want to eye in on as we get into the conferences. Can our front four at least create pressure? Not necessarily get home, but can they can they create pressure to where sending our linebackers becomes more of a luxury and not a necessity?
Mm-hmm.
That's some stuff you look for. Of course, the offense stuff, nothing really changed, I think, from the first 3 weeks, but you kind of have to take it with what it is. You look at the offensive staff and you think maybe they look at this as maybe some of our bigger weeks of the season, maybe going with a hot hand versus maybe trying to create, I don't know, something rhythm. You just, it's like you mentioned with Isaac, you're just hoping we can find a primary back, get him some touches and get him kind of involved in the game more, find more rhythm in the passing game. Stuff like that. And if those things can correct themselves, then 11-1 is very much in reach. But if they don't, 8-5 is very much right there too.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is making sure you take care of the games you can take care of within the conference. If you're going to lose games, like you kind of look at some of the different games in the schedule going, all right, this one's going to be a little bit tougher here. Just get to the conference championship game and give yourself a chance, right?
Right.
That's the big thing. If you just be one of those teams that is there fighting at the end, and that's a step in the right direction.
Right. Meaningful games at the end of October is always fun.
Yeah, we haven't had too many of those for sure.
Yeah, when you're already out, those aren't too fun, but they're pretty fun when you're in that contention. So yeah, agree.
And hopefully that's a sign of things to come over the next couple of years. Adam, you're the best. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, man. Go Bulls.
Yes, sir. Go Bulls all day, every day. Look at Chris Hall bringing it. Miami has had like a 30-pound per man advantage in the trenches. Not much you can do about that. Just ran into a really good team, literally. Yeah, you got that right, man. And it's just there's levels to this, right? You'll hear that in everything. There's levels to this game. And that's what we got. That's what we saw with USF. Now, as much as we love this Bulls team, one thing that we do have to see is we got to see more accuracy from Byron Brown. And this is something that's really, I think, holding him back when it comes to really taking that next step forward when it becomes a guy that can be a high draft pick, right? Kid's got incredible skills. He can run the football. We know how tough he is, but the accuracy is something that betrays him at times. 20 of 36. And you wonder in the future, like when Byron eventually moves on, how the offense is going to look under Alex Golesh when you have a guy that maybe doesn't run with the same type of strength that Byron gives you. Maybe he's still going to be versatile, be able to run the football, but in a different way. But maybe he's going to be a little bit more accurate. So that's something that we got to see from Byron moving forward. And that could hinder this team if he doesn't fix it. And we can look back at some of the losses that they've had over the last couple of years when Byron was in there and he wasn't banged up. And you can look at some of the shots that he's missed, whether it's short, intermediate, or these longer routes. And not a lot of people want to bring that up because of, how good the Bulls were playing and, all the other great things he does and, the great kid that he is. But me, it's reality. He's got to be more accurate with the football. And can he do it? He's going to have to prove it because this is not the first time that I've heard somebody talk about it. This is not the first time I've said it myself. If this Bulls team really wants to contend for a conference championship, well, Byron Brown has to be more accurate with the football. I think the offensive game plan excuse me. I think the offensive game plan is something that Coach Golesh, only getting the ball in the hands of Alvin Isaac 6 times. He's one of your more dynamic playmakers. I know it's tough when you fall behind. You really can't stop him. You're giving up 28 points in the first half. I mean, Carson Beck had all day to throw 5 incompletions, right? I mean, it's tough. It's tough, but it's a learning experience. Again, not a silver lining, not a moral victory, but certainly a learning experience for Coach Alex Golesh and the Bulls. And they had a lot of hype. A lot of people were talking about them. A lot of people were excited about them. But it's just there's different stuff. There's different things that you have to be able to do when you have Mario Cristobal, a guy that knows all about offensive line play. I mean, my God. Did I not send the link? Oh, well, it would help if Ian was going to join us if I sent him the link. Sorry, pal. He's probably looking at it like, what the hell, bro? Boom. Sorry, guys. Beck. If he was more accurate, he'd be in the Heisman talk. Yeah, you got that right. Accuracy is what separates the good from great. Yeah, and you'll hear me say that till the cows come home. So the most important thing is accuracy and decision-making. And as of right now, this is something that Byron Brown certainly has to work on. All right, let's bring him in for our weekly chat. It's the one and only, the round mound of Covatown. Ian Beckles in the house. What's going on, buddy?
What's good, man? Everything good?
Everything's good. What kind of shirt you wearing? Nice.
It's NFLPA issued shirt.
Oh, I thought it said slimmer on there.
Nah, definitely not.
Summer. You're slimmer than you were.
When?
Playing days?
No.
Yes.
No. I weigh more than I played when I was playing days. That's a fact.
Really?
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Wow.
The scales don't lie.
Oh man. Yeah, and the offensive line doesn't lie either. You watch any of that USF Miami game?
Yeah. Games are won in the trenches, my friend.
There's levels to this shit, ain't there? There's levels to this shit, huh?
It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Like, you may think you're fast, and you may be fast against Boise State, but when you go against them 5 stars, it's a lot of stars, you know?
How'd Chambo do Friday?
36-6. 2-0. 3-0. Sorry, 3-0.
Whoa.
We play I think Spoto next. We're getting better. We're getting better slowly, definitely.
How's the offensive line looking?
Substantially better. Like, everybody always says that I'm about woe is me, and I'm about as real as can be. Like, at the beginning, we sucked. Okay,
Yeah,
we were terrible. And now we're starting to get some players in and some kids that used to play a little bit. And we just got a center in last week who could snap and play. So you put a couple kids who have played before in the mix. Like, it's coaching some kid who's never played the position is very hard. But if you play the position, it makes it, 50% easier. So it's getting easier. We don't look bad.
That's good. Good for you guys, man. Good for you guys. Luke Gedeke and him being in the lineup tonight is going to be paramount. But what I want to see tonight, and I want to get your opinion on this, as much as, they're probably going to get theirs, right? You have 2 outstanding pass rushers in Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson. It's a makeshift offensive line. I don't expect them to be able to put forth the same performance you saw last week against Atlanta. But Houston's got one of the worst offensive lines in all of football. And then they traded away their left tackle in Laramie Tunsil last year, who was easily their best offensive lineman. This is the game for Yaya Diaby and Hassan Reddick, isn't it, Beck? All the talk, obviously, locally is going to be about our offensive line, but their offensive line is trash. It's been trash for the last couple of years. This is Hassan Reddick, this is why you paid the guy the money, and this is why Yaya Diaby, in everybody's mind, is going to be a 10-sack guy, right?
Well, I never said Yaya was going to be a 10-sack guy because I don't really see it in him. I see a good football player in Yaya. I like the way he plays. Reddick has got to be the guy. I mean, he's the guy. He's a double-digit guy. Yaya doesn't have 15 sacks in him. He doesn't have that wiggle. He doesn't, because sometimes the guys that have the ability to have 15 sacks also take themselves out of position a lot, Yaya's more of a physical, pound you all day long, and you need those type of players. Like, you need some Shaq Barrett's, and you also need some Will Ghostons. You see what I'm saying? Yaya's more of a physical type guy. Reddick is more of the get the field and disrupt the game. I don't know if we'll ever see Yaya Diaby take over a game. I think you might be able to see Reddick do it. As far as the game tonight, I'm more concerned. I didn't love our pass rush last week. I think we can get after him a little bit, if we stop the run. But I'm really concerned about our offensive line against their defensive line. I think that's going to be the difference maker.
What about so we've talked a lot about running the football and how offensive linemen love to go forward rather than pass protecting going backwards. I feel like tonight, if the Buccaneers don't run the football between 25 and 30 times, they're going to be in trouble.
Well, to me, this is a game where we're going to find out what Grizzard's mentality is, okay? Right. Because you can say anything you want in the offseason. We heard it forever. We've heard it forever. We're going to be a run team. We're going to be a run team. We're going to be a run team. And last year we became one almost without the mentality because we didn't pound that many people. We just ended up with a lot of rushing yards. Now, the whole offseason, we heard about how we're going to rush. Well, this is a game without your left tackle on the road with a makeshift offensive line where if you don't run the ball, I don't like you to win the game. And you won the game last week despite not running the ball all that efficiently. But let's not do that again. And if you keep on, it's not going to get any easier than this. You got to establish that run to where the Bucs go out every Sunday or every Monday, and they say to themselves, "We're going to rush for 120 yards. That's it, and you can't stop us." And the teams that have the ability to do that are the ones that win every single Sunday. Okay, and like we can only name a handful of them right now, but I guarantee they're winning every single Sunday. So the Bucs got to kind of get forward and progress to that mentality. I just don't think they're there yet.
I saw your. Did you see the final score of your Indiana guys last week?
I did. I was scared to put money on them, but I don't think the spread was 73. I did see what my Hoosiers did. They started off a little rocky, and then they picked it up a little bit. My guy
73, bro.
73, man.
My
Go
God.
Hoosiers. Go Hoosiers.
They look. I mean, it's nice to be able to have a team that whoops ass like that. Not bad at
the
all.
Hoosiers have always done well out of conference. When it gets into conference, they usually struggle. But they're a different squad now. Now I feel good that they've definitely got over a hump. Last year they got over a hump to not be like Indiana was like a lower tier Big Ten team for a while. This new coach has definitely got them over and some kind of a hump for sure.
When you look at Philly and Kansas City right now, I mean, Philly doesn't have to play their best ball and they can win. And Chris Jones was talking smack to Jalen Hurts, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't even get 100 yards." And Jalen Hurts is like, "Shut up, we won."
Right.
And I look at Travis Kelce dropping passes. I just – is the reign for Kansas City over?
I don't want to say it's over yet, but –
more signs than we've seen in the last couple of years.
Well, here comes the but. But I've never seen them look like this.
Right.
They just don't look. They don't look right. Like you can lose the game and go, but I can still see it. Yesterday I just saw one thing: Patrick Mahomes being great.
That's it.
And that's not going to continue to get you.
Looked like the Super Bowl, didn't it?
It looked like the Super Bowl. Yep. Every time things were breaking down, he was getting out of the pocket and doing things. And without Patrick Mahomes, if you had an immobile quarterback, they don't score a point yesterday. So I just don't like. And I know Patrick Mahomes is at the point of his career where if somebody's open, he's going to hit him. Okay, it's not like guys are standing there wide open and they're not getting the ball, So Travis is not the same. He's Hollywood now, and that's factual. Is that a tough catch at the end? Yes, but he would have made it 2 years ago.
Yep.
He definitely, that's him. Like every time the ball hit his hands, he caught it. So he doesn't seem to be the same player.
And I wonder about that too. How fair is it to be able to say that a guy is not as focused as he once was because he's in the public eye? Is that fair to say?
Well, I don't know him. Okay, I didn't know him before or after T Swizzle or whatever they call it. But I do know this: there's certain things. Okay, in an off season after you win a Super Bowl, when you hear of guys, going on the chicken circuit or whatever they call it, where guys are going on banquets and this and that and the other, that's a lot of people pulling you a lot of different ways. And it's impossible to be completely focused to something when you're got some focus on something else. Like people always say, were you ever were you getting ready for life after football while you played football? I go, there's no time because then you'll be taking away from football. It's got to be all football. And you can't tell me that Travis Kelce is all football right now when he's engaged to Taylor Swift. I don't give a crap because Taylor is worth more money than the NFL to him right now. So I'm not saying that's the reason why he dropped that ball. And he is getting on in age, and he's been great for a long, long time. But it just, I don't know. The focus, he's not the same player, that's for sure.
You and I had this conversation after the season last year when everybody was clamoring for Liam Cohen to stay around and not Todd Bowles. And now Jacksonville's got a video of Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen yelling at his quarterback and Trevor Lawrence waving Liam Cohen off at the sideline. And I think back to everybody that was so aboard the Liam Cohen train. Can you imagine Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield having that interaction on the field? I couldn't. I don't think Todd Bowles would say that to him. I just don't think that's how their interaction would be. I feel like the Bucs dodged a bullet there.
Well, my thing is, listen, Liam Cohen, I'm happy for him to get that job. Good for you. I want to see everybody succeed. But afterwards they were like, it wasn't a big deal. I would say BS to the 15th power, okay? Because I guarantee when they get back to behind closed doors, he's gonna go, yo, Sunshine, come over here. Let me tell you
Right.
something, all right? You don't wave me off no goddamn more, all right?
Mhm.
We ain't gonna do that because you wave me off, everybody's looking like you're allowed to do that. He ain't gonna wave Bill Parcells off. He ain't waving Tony Dungy off.
No doubt.
There's a lot of coaches he ain't waving off. So Sunshine needs to figure out, the ways to do stuff, and that's not the way. And the thing is, he hasn't earned it. This ain't Tom Brady. He hasn't earned it yet. So, I mean, he's in a tough situation, and I thought we overblew all of our. I thought Canales was overblown. I thought, Cohen was overblown as well.
Yeah, give me another example of, if you can remember, coordinators turned head coaches that were just in over their heads. Do you remember that from your playing days or anything like that? Sure, there was a ton.
Nobody has a better story than, Richard Williamson was our head coach my second year. My first year, Ray Perkins was the coach, and he got fired with 3 games left. And that was a debacle. He came in, he goes, I've been fired. I'd like to give the last 3 games to Richard Williamson. And that's the first time Richard Williamson heard about it. So Richard Williamson has his big eyes like, what? So now we all find out at the same time Richard Williamson is going to be our head coach for the last 3 games. I think we went 2-1 or 1-2 and didn't look bad. Everybody was like, okay, let's get Richard back to be the coach. He's a player's coach. And so we all talk to everybody, and Richard gets the job, all right? Long story short, we ended up being 3-13 that year. And he went from saying, I'm a player's coach, get over here and I'll listen to what you guys say, to, you guys can all kiss my ass. He almost said that at the middle. I don't care about you guys anymore. It's about me. And then he completely lost the locker room, and it got real bad towards the end.
What's that conversation like in the locker room between the players? What do you and Tony? Tony talk? Yeah, but I mean, there's got to be, and I'm not saying it has to be an in-depth conversation, but what is that type of, like, with you and Tony? Like, are there like side eyes? Like, is this motherfucker serious? You know what I mean? Is it like time like that over? Not saying you guys are like breaking bread, like that guy sucks, but I'm sure, like, is there stuff that you hear? Like, is there drills when you're out there and you're looking at Tony like, are we really doing this kind of thing?
Well, it's really never talked about. Like, I never heard anybody say, well, he's losing the locker room. Never heard anything like that.
But you feel it, though.
But you 100% feel it. Like, there were situations where Sam Weich, okay? Sam and Alvin didn't get along at all. You heard? And, like, things would happen, and, me and Tony would look at each other like, where the hell are we? Like this doesn't happen to teams that are winning, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The head coach / offense coordinator doesn't bicker with the star wide receiver and the quarterback, not on winning teams. So you can't hide it from the players, because either the coach has the utmost respect or he loses it. Once he loses it, I don't think it could be. You can get it back. I think it's impossible.
Is there like a bar? Like, is there a guy? You see this we talk about this a lot in any aspect of life where, like, you have a friend that hates everything. He just can't stand. He's always bitching and moaning. He's always complaining about somebody, like Bert. And then you have friends that aren't mad about anything, and all of a sudden, like, they don't like somebody, and you're like, damn, like, if that person doesn't like him, there probably is something wrong with them. Is it like that in the locker room too, where it's just like, well, everybody's on board. That guy kind of does his own thing anyway, doesn't really care. But there's like that tipping point where, like, man, even that guy's not on board. This guy's really lost the plot.
Well, I've never, even in my real life, in my life outside of football, I never really care what other people think of other people. I never really did, because sometimes people say that guy's a bad person, and when I meet the person, he's the furthest from a bad person. He's just the realest person I ever met. Like, some people don't like real people. You see what I'm saying? And in the locker room, it's the exact same way. If I sit there and I hear I'm some peon, rookie talking about how he's being disrespected or how this or that, I'm not going to listen to it. If I hear Hardy Nickerson say something negative about a coach, I'm going to listen. If I hear Derek Brooks say these guys don't know what they're talking about, I'm going to listen, because I know Derek ain't just going to come out and say that. So it doesn't happen that often where you see the revolt, but you feel it and you almost know what's happening, even if you're not part of it. Because I don't like to get involved with the politics, because the politics don't really mean anything to me as long as I got a job. That's the most important thing, and I'm trying to worry about right guard, and that's about it right now. So I try to stay away from the politics. But you see the politics happen, and I just wasn't one of those, locker room politician type cats.
What do you make of the Buccaneers' struggles during primetime games?
Uh,
Because now Baker's even saying it too. He's like, "Yeah, I don't like to wait all day," and I'm like,
yeah.
"Yeah, okay, I get that," but it's like, if you're one of the best teams in the league, you're gonna play Mondays, you're gonna play Thursdays, you're gonna play Sunday nights. Like, this is just, it comes with the territory. Never in my life did I ever hear Tom Brady or Peyton Manning complain about playing in primetime. Like, I think you would want to. I think you would want to be that one game that's on in front of the nation, right?
Well, Tony Dungy instilled this in me specifically. He said something his first year. He said, the team that wins the Super Bowl is going to be the team that can deal with all the outside noise. And if you can't deal with the outside noise, you won't succeed. And this is outside noise. There's no way you could stay in routine if it's a Monday night game. You have to be out of your routine. You just got to figure it out, though. So, and the championship teams don't bitch and moan about things. They just don't. I like Baker Mayfield's attitude. I like Tom Brady's attitude better. Whether I don't give a shit if I play in a parking lot on Wednesday, I like that attitude better. But this Buccaneer team, sometimes things are almost an anomaly. I mean, you play 2 a year. Usually, you're playing the better teams. I hate to Baker to say that it's because he's out of his routine, because the other team is as much out of their routine. So, right. To me, it's just one of those things where if you wait 4 weeks and flip a coin, it might come up heads every time. That could happen.
Did you see that interview with Tom Brady and Joel Klatt from last week about a quarterback's responsibility?
I did not.
I'm going to send it to you, man, because you will love it. He's sitting there and he's talking about how the only quarterback in the National Football League that he thinks gets it is Patrick Mahomes. Because he goes, all right, it's not about the stats. He goes, I didn't care how many yards I threw for. I don't care how many touchdowns. I wanted to win. He goes, you have so many quarterbacks in the league. They're all I'm worried about stats, and I'm worried about touchdowns. I'm worried about MVPs. He goes, that's you. That's only what you're doing. He's like, how are you making your defense better? How can you make your personnel department better? How can you make your front office better? How can you make sure that you're bringing guys into here that's going to contribute to the winning? What part of the game plan are you talking? Like, he had his hand in so many different things in New England. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, it does take that. It's almost an obsession, right? To be the best of the best. And I feel like nowadays, not just in the NFL, but you see this in the NBA a lot. And you and I love, the NBA, but guys are so focused on, like, Joel Embiid was so like, I'm heartbroken that he didn't win MVP. Like, dude, you haven't even made an NBA final. Like, I understand wanting to be the best. I get that. But it's like, I feel like the intention of a lot of the athletes nowadays, it's not winning at all costs. It's not winning as a team, because if they do that, they're like Tom Brady's. Was he the most accurate passer? Did he have the best arm? Did he have the most MVPs? Did he throw for the most yards? No, we look at him because he's the greatest, because he won the most championships. It's just such an ass backwards thing from a lot of other people. What do you make of that? I know it's only secondhand because from what I told you, but it's an obsession, isn't it?
Well, if you ask me if Tom Brady is the best quarterback to ever play, I'm going to say no. Okay. If you ask me if he's the best leader, I would say probably. Okay. Mm-hmm. One of the best competitors, I would say probably. Michael Jordan assessing other basketball players ain't going to be good. You heard me though? It's just not. You're talking about the guy who was, the top guy as far as focus. So he don't see nobody else focusing like him. So he can't see it. It's like me assessing my Chamberlain offensive lineman. It's almost similar. Like, they're not me. I know that. And so I like the fact that he puts Patrick Mahomes in that echelon, upper echelon. I'm okay with that. Here's the issue that I have. We'll use Lamar and Josh Allen, who are two fantastic football players. The thing that I don't know is if you put Josh Allen on all of those Super Bowl teams that Brady won, that they wouldn't have won. If you put Lamar on those teams, how the hell are you going to stop that? So to say somebody's the best at something is tough. And to say that, like, what else does Josh Allen have to do as a leader than have his team up with 10 seconds left in the AFC Championship numerous times.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what Brady's saying. That's what
Yeah.
he answered that question. And that's why I think it's so like it's so interesting, because I said the same thing initially. Like, what more can the guy do? Well, if Tom Brady's saying there is more that you can do, are you working in the office?
What would Brady have done if he scored with 10 seconds left and they had to kick off to Kansas City? What would Brady have done?
No, but that's situational. So that we're looking at it like it's only there. So Tom Brady is saying that, well, maybe if you work more with your wide receivers and the tight ends in the offseason, maybe if you work more with your defense, maybe you work more with your personnel department, maybe if you work more on the game plan, you don't even get to that situation. You're up 14 instead of 7. Yeah. So instead of saying like, yeah, it would be different right there, Brady's saying if you work on the entire scheme schematically from before the season to now, you don't even get into a spot like that, because then you and I both know, just like the Seattle Super Bowl, just like the Giants Super Bowl with the Patriots, then sometimes it's a little bit of a coin flip, right? The fact that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, as great as they are, have not even gotten to a Super Bowl. And I know it's circumstantial because you're playing with Patrick Mahomes, but you start thinking if it's tough for the normal football experts, if it's tough for a former NFL player like yourself, a guy like me, you and I talk about so many different aspects of the game. That's why I truly believe our discussions are helpful, not just for us, but I feel like for everybody that watches us. To get that advice, to get that type of mindset from arguably the greatest quarterback ever, that's where it gets me thinking, Beck. It gets me thinking, because I was with you. What more can they do? They're MVPs. But Brady's like, guys, it's more than that. And it's hard because we live in the day where everybody's so like clickbaity, and I'm just going to say shit to piss people off. But Tom Brady's like giving us this thing, and it's that's such like expert level calculus of the quarterback position, because nobody can understand that what they're not doing other than guys like him and Mahomes. Like there's like 5, 10, 15 guys on the planet that have ever walked this earth that can understand. And I think it goes above my head, probably goes above a bunch of other people's heads. But I guess that's what Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have to do in order to be all-time greats, Beck, because listen, if they keep down this path, they'll win some MVPs. But Allen got hurt yesterday in the Jets game. Lamar still runs the football. You and I cringe every time we watch Josh Allen play, like we did a couple years ago against that game against Pittsburgh. Like, running quarterbacks don't always age gracefully. So they're kind of in that honey hole right now where it looks like Mahomes is going down. I hope they listen to what Tom Brady is saying, because they got to strike while the iron's hot, because the page turns quickly.
But this is my thing, all right? And I don't disagree with what Tom Brady's saying. He's like, work harder, be more, and that's great. That's great. But we don't know that Josh Allen doesn't prepare more than Tom Brady. We don't know that. It just turned out different for Tom Brady.
Yeah, do you though?
No, but listen, Jay.
If you had to take it, let's use Ian Beckles' quote. If you had to bet your house on it, did anybody? He said about the Super Bowl and they beat the Chiefs. Right. He said, I knew exactly every single play that they ran.
Right.
Every single play. Like, you don't hear that from Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
Yeah, but maybe they're not bragging on it as much. But listen, if you know every single play, that's great. But how is knowing every single play going to stop the other team from scoring in 10 seconds? And you can say that we're all going to be ready. But the reason why New England won so many Super Bowls was because at the end of the game, you're not scoring on that defense with 10 seconds.
Right.
Because Belichick was the brilliance of Belichick and all those brilliant defensive players. But that's not Brady. It's some football and sports, there has to be an element of luck to it, okay? If there's, I could take away 3 plays from 3 different Super Bowls. If other players don't make them, Tom Brady doesn't get a Super Bowl. Like if who was my boy caught it on his head against the Giants or whatever, who would have? I mean, that's
David
a one
Tyree.
in a million. Who was that?
Tyree.
Okay, that's a one. That was the best catch he ever made in his career. If he doesn't make that catch, they don't win the game. And then Tom Brady's philosophy doesn't work. So it's easy to say I did it the right way when it worked, when I don't think there's a right way. I really don't.
But when he did it 7 times, though, right?
But
like,
he didn't do it 7 times. They did it 7 times.
No, I understand
the organization did it.
But he is a huge part of that.
No
and
doubt.
if he's saying that these guys need to do more, He knows these guys. He talks to these guys. It's not like he's on the outside. Him and Lamar are tight. Like him and Lamar, they talk. He's like, even when they played against each other, he's a huge Lamar fan. I don't think that's the other thing, Beck. He's not saying it as a disgruntled NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be one thing, and you see this a lot, just like I do. Well, in my day, or I would have done this, or I would have done that. He's got a pretty good relationship with these guys. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder the tact of like why he would say something like that. Not in a bad way, but I just think like in his own way, pushing these guys to do a little bit more. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that because I think his heart's in the right place. But I feel like, I don't want to say it's like because he doesn't gain anything from this. I just also don't think he's speaking out of his ass. You know what I mean?
Well, let me say this, Jay. When I talk to my kids at Chambo, I have some kids that are into it, and I know they're just not into it like I was. They're not into it like I was. Everything was football. They aren't that. It doesn't mean Josh Allen's not that, okay? Mm-hmm. But it does mean he's not Tom Brady because you can try to teach everybody your ways. And I did this, and I did this, and I did this. Chess Master can teach you how to play. Jimi Hendrix may be able to teach you how to play guitar, but that don't mean you're going to have the guitar on you 24/7 everywhere you go, or you want to play chess 24/7. That's the part you can't measure. And I don't know if anybody, when they speak of football, quarterbacking and leadership, sounds like Tom Brady. It sounds insane. You've never seen other quarterbacks in Cancun, in March with shoulder pads on, taking. I mean, come on, that's not normal, bro. Relax yourself. He was so obsessed. He obsessed his family right out of there. I mean, that's just. I don't think he has a choice. And you can try to teach somebody that, but I don't think it's possible.
Do you think Allen and Mahomes have that? Allen and Lamar have it in them?
I think they are as high as it is in the NFL now without Brady. I mean, I don't even know if Mahomes is ahead of them. I really.
My question is where's the room for growth then for those two guys?
Growth is growth. Okay, growth is playing. Mm-hmm. Growth is accumulating another year. I mean, Peyton Manning in his first few years, they're like, oh, he'll never win a Super Bowl, and then he won a couple of Super Bowls. So that's growth. Listen, everybody's like, well, Lamar will never win one. What if he wins two? Then what? You're gonna forget everything you said back all those years. Same with Josh Allen. So Tony Dungy was never going to win a Super Bowl. Then he won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's easy. So where do you grow? You grow by growing. Lamar's growing every single year. Lamar's way better than he was 2 years ago. Josh is way better than he was 2 years ago. And you just got to keep growing until your body tells you that you can't do it anymore.
All right, last one out of me. Who wins the Super Bowl first? Lamar or Josh Allen? And then who wins the most?
Oh, Jesus. If one of them wins a Super Bowl, that'll be it. I don't like winning 2 Super Bowls. This doesn't happen. We don't have enough time. Like, I don't think either one of those guys gonna play. They're not both gonna play 5 more years. The odds are that's not the case. So if somebody wins one, they're probably gonna go down with the most because there's just not a lot of Super Bowls out there. If I had to pick, I would pick Lamar right now.
Yeah.
I
would go Lamar too.
Yeah, it's
just because of Harbaugh and the team, the Ravens,
He's just a lot to deal with, man. He's a lot to game plan for. But as an organization, I don't know about both the organizations. They're consistently there.
Yeah.
But they always look like they're missing something.
Yeah. They might be missing some of that hunger, baby. Some of that Ian Beckles offensive line coaching.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. What do we got up on Ian Beckles in the trenches? What's going on at the Dignitary Cafe, my brother?
Well, in the trenches tomorrow after the game, and you coming over to watch the game tonight? What you got going on?
I got practice till 6:45, and then I'll be over after that.
Yeah, man. So we coming hanging out back here, our 10x6 screen, and we're 420 friendly, and we be back here hanging out. I don't feel good about the game, though, Jay.
No,
I don't.
Oh.
I got a funny feeling our offensive line is going to be exposed tonight.
Yeah, that's why. Like I know everybody's saying that today. I feel like this could be a similar game to the one against the Lions last year, where you give up the booty, but you still win. But that's what they did last year was they gave up the booty, but they bend but don't break defense, right? And you got to Jared Goff, and I think that's why in this game, 25 to 30 carries for the running backs, and I think you need to see 3+ sacks for the Bucs defense. This offensive line is terrible, Beck. And I think in a weird way, the Bucs offensive line might be even better. That's how bad the Houston offensive line is. I've watched them a lot the last couple of years because I'm like, I thought this team was going to be the shit last year. And they're bad. And no excuses for Yaya Diaby. I think he's the guy that has to have the big game. I'm sick of the almost guys. Kalijah Cansey's going to do this. Yaya Diaby's going to do this. I don't want to have those conversations anymore.
We need 30 carries between all our running backs. If we get 30 carries, we win the game. If we get 20 carries, 15 carries, I don't like our chances.
4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Ian_Beckles. Check out the Beckles and Recher podcast on Wednesday over there at the Dignitary Cafe. Come on by and watch the game with us tonight. All right, my brother. Appreciate you. See you tonight.
Deuces.
One love for the big back Beck, my man. All right, good conversation here. Louis says, I think tonight's game is going to be similar to what you've seen against the Falcons. Could be. Could very well be. Let me tell you about my friends over at the Honest Hammer. Pulling up the screen for y'all. There we go. Big Bucks fan. 813-244-0956. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, for all of your commercial or residential needs. They can help you out. Listen, licensed and insured Florida General Contractor, CGC 153-1166. No project too big, no project too small. Listen, kitchen, bathroom remodels, custom homes, new construction, commercial construction, interior and structural renovations. They've got you covered. Big-time sports fan, Tampa Bay sports fan like you. My guy Hammer, again, 813-244-0956. Hit him with an email, thehonesthammer@gmail.com, thehonesthammer.com. I went to one of the job sites a couple Thursdays ago. So impressed by how they get their job done, the way that they talk to each other. And it's just, this is the kind of business that you want to spend your money with. It's a good local company. Again, they're the first crew to jump on board with us here on the Jay Recher podcast, and something that's going to mean a lot to me forever. And if you're going to support one of our, these are the kind of guys you want to support. These are the kind of guys that you want to spend your money with. There's so many horror stories, when it comes to contractors. Not these guys. These guys are the best. 813-244-0956. Tell me you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Get you a discount. The Honest Hammer. I love those guys. Russ is the man. Give him a call. Even if you have a question. Hey, I think about doing this. Think about doing that. Can you help me out? He'll definitely do that. Just tell me you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcasts. I can't wait for hockey to start. That is right. All right. Let's get to the whole thing with Ken Rosenthal yesterday. Jesus, Mary. Crazy. Just the nasty look that he gave the guy that he knocked down. I don't know if you saw that or not. All right. So let's get to some of the games from this weekend. Going down all the ones that I kept a close eye on. I know a lot of you guys out there watched them too. You're right, Beck. Indiana State, 73-0 on Friday night. Colorado loses 36-20 to Houston. I just think, between that game and Kansas State losing to go to 0-3, UCLA losing to New Mexico. You just saw Deshaun Foster got let go. I mean, that was a dumpster fire from the beginning. Deshaun Foster's introductory press conference was up there with Adam Gase as some of the worst that we have ever seen. I just don't know I know Nick Sirianni had a little bit of a weird one too, but with that being said, my God, if it's not good from the start, it's probably not going to be too good. Friday night was such a weird night in sports, in college football rather, because you just look at some of those games and you look at, UCLA with Nico Iamaleava, 217 yards. He misplayed his hand. His representation screwed him over so bad. Now he's out there in UCLA. I don't know why you would think it's coaching is a lot, man. Coaching has a lot to do with it. Wow. Saturday, number 3 LSU against the Florida Gators. I mean, them Gators, boy, I'll tell you. I was watching with our guy, Josh Pate said on ESPN, talking with some of the guys, and he was discussing how Florida has everything. They have literally everything to be a successful program, but it's like going to Thanksgiving dinner, having all of the ingredients for an incredible dinner and then not knowing who's going to cook the meal. Well said. And I know DJ Lagway threw for 287 yards. He doesn't look right. He doesn't look right at all. This team doesn't look right at all. And LSU wins, right? And I want to say something about Brian Kelly too. Like, Brian Kelly's in there in the post-game press conference, and somebody asks about the offense. And Brian Kelly snaps at this reporter. He's like, really? That's what we want to talk about? We just won the game. Like, dude, I never understand why professional athletes and coaches feel like it's okay to just be a dick to people that don't ask. Like, it's one thing, man. I've been there. I've been for over a decade in these press conferences, and I've heard people try to ask questions to paint somebody into a corner. I've heard people use leading questions to make somebody look bad. I've heard people ask questions with ill intentions, and that they're just trying to screw the person that they're, trying to screw that person over. But when you have, like, what your job is when you're asking these questions, you're not sitting there asking these questions. It's not a full-blown one-on-one interview. A lot of times you're asking softball questions, but you're asking these questions because you want to envelop everything that went on, and you want to give the coach a chance to elaborate. So, right, I've done it all the time, especially with the Lightning. They rely on me to be able to ask these questions, or somebody asks these questions, and I'll say, Coop, you gave up 3 power play goals tonight. What went wrong? Boom, that's it. We don't have to go into the minutia of, whose fault it is or anything like that, but you got to ask those questions. The offense not performing up to its capabilities with Garrett Nussmeier, one of the few returning quarterbacks in college football. I mean, they just asked, like, what do you make of the offense? All Brian Kelly had to say was, hey, wasn't our best night by any means. But Garrett is the guy that we rely on to be able to get us through some tough situations, and we're able to come out on top. We'll get back to work tomorrow or on Monday, and hopefully we'll be better for it. He's got to be better. We know that, but we have full faith in our quarterback. How hard is that? But no, you just got to be a dick. Like, I just don't understand why you have to be like that. Just stupid. It takes not you literally take away. And Brian Kelly bothers me. He's always so pissed off about everything. He gets so offended by everything. Like, relax, dude. You're a freaking college football coach. You get paid millions of dollars to coach football, right? Nobody's sitting there with a freaking gun to the back of your head. Nobody's holding you at knife point. You coach at Notre Dame. Now you coach at LSU. Your life's so fucking hard, bro. Relax. Your offense didn't look great. It's fair to ask about it. And nobody asked you 5 times. It wasn't like they were freaking pounding the guy all the time. Like, what about this? And what about this? Like, have some semblance of tact and just human decency. These people that feel like they can talk to these people any way that they want. Like, it bothers me. What's wrong with these people, man? You think you're so much better than somebody because you're a fucking college football coach? Kiss my ass. Oregon, we talked about USF. What a game with Georgia and Tennessee. I picked Georgia in that game to go in there. I mean, listen, both these teams went back and forth, and it's funny because being over at WDAE on Friday, a couple of people were saying it's going to be a low-scoring game. No, sir. No, it was not. Shout out to the Dogs for winning that one. Notre Dame, a tough loss, 41-40 to Texas A&M. Marcus Freeman's squad 0-2 on the season, yet they're still ranked in the top 25. And has it been like this for a while? Like, I don't remember the last couple of years it being this bad. I don't remember the AP top 25 being this erratic and this terrible. You're seeing these people and the way that they rank their teams. Even, last week when we saw that young lady had Florida over USF, and USF wasn't even in the top 25. And it's just like, again, it is so important to certain people. They put so much thought and care into making sure that they get it right. And then you have other people that just don't care. They just don't give a shit. Yeah, well, it's just part of the gig. Like, give your vote to somebody else. Arch did not look good for Texas against UTEP. They did win that game, but he looked ugly. And I know some people are going to say, wait, it's going to take some time. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know. They say greatness shows itself early. I haven't seen much from Arch Manning yet. I'm not on the side that the kid's going to be a bust, but I'm also not of the thought process that it's not a big deal. Oh, it's a big deal. He's not playing well. Clemson 24-21 loss to Georgia Tech. Good for the Yellow Jackets. Big upset there at home. I think we're going to eventually get to the point. And I know Alabama won. Excuse me. I just think Dabo Swinney, like his time, he needs to realize that he's got to get transfer portal guys in there. He has to adapt or he's just going to die a slow death in college football. Just the way it goes, man. Coach K said the same thing at Duke. Said this many years ago. He said, I'm not going to have one and done guys. I'm not going to recruit those guys. All right, fine. And then Coach Cal goes out there with 3/5 of his starting lineup. And then boom, what happens? Coach Cal and Kentucky wins the national championship, and Coach Krzyzewski goes, you know what? Maybe we need to switch this around a little bit. Maybe I need to adapt my style. And they ended up winning, I think, 1 or 2 more before he retired. Adapt or die, Dabo. It's the same shit we talked about last year. And you have Cade Klubnik as your quarterback, one of the guys returning. You're getting outthrown by Haynes King, who also was the leading rusher in that game too. It's so weird when you get these coaches, and I see it a lot too in soccer because I'm a big Manchester United fan. Unfortunately, 3-0 loss to them against Man City yesterday, which is painful to say the least. But their head coach, Ruben Amorim, is like, I'm not going to change my system. If you're going to change the system, you got to change the coach. And it's like, who the hell gives you the right to be so fucking stubborn? I don't understand that. These coaches that are stubborn in their ways and they can never adapt, they can never change. It's like, who do you think you are? Just because you adapt, just because you change, just because you take a different perspective or a different point of view, like, does that mean that you're like losing your identity? Does that mean that you're not being authentic and you're not being true to yourself? No. What do you think growth is? What do you think adaptation is? What do you think evolution is? You just think doing the same thing over and over again is going to lend you different results? No, that's the definition of insanity, numbnuts. Like, it's crazy. My guy, Rob, is texting me right now, asking me fantasy football questions. Bitch, I'm doing my show. What are you talking about? I need your input. Hold on. Call in now. Let's see if he calls. Is he going to do it? I need your input in my money league. I have Debo Samuel, Travis Hunter, Quentin Johnson, and Ted McMillan as my wide receivers. I got an offer for A.J. Brown for Debo. Brown can't be like this all season, can he? Is he going to do it? I'm going to see if my guy Rob is going to call in. I'm going to put the link in here. This guy's interrupting my show for some fantasy football questions. Let's see if Rob calls in. But yeah, I just don't understand the stubbornness of these coaches. Like, adapt. I always go back to the Tom Coughlin where he wasn't listening to anybody. He wasn't listening to anybody. And Michael Strahan, he's like, do you hear me? Do you hear me? Do you hear me? And then Michael Strahan turned around and goes, you're losing your team. You're losing your team. Do you hear me? Tom Coughlin puts a leadership council in place. The Giants end up winning the Super Bowl and beating the undefeated Tom Brady Patriots. If that guy can adapt in his 60s, why can't coaches adapt in their 40s and 50s? I just don't get it. Jake says, I feel like I really don't see the arm talent with Arch. That one, I'm with you, man. It just doesn't look right. Sergio Biltris, what's up, Jay? I'm liking the jersey. Thank you, buddy. I never in a million years thought that I would ever wear a Tom Brady jersey, but here we are. Lady Evil, speaking of soccer, my hometown team, St. Pauli Hamburg, won in the Bundesliga. That's a great start to the season. The Bundesliga. We should do a segment on Ron and Ian called the Bundesliga Breakdown. And I used to have to get them to pronounce different names in soccer. It was pretty cool. I would keep Debo. He's more utilized than AJ. You know, well, if Rob calls and we'll get his question answered. If not, too damn bad, Rob. You're not getting your question answered. All right, let's talk the NFL action from over the weekend. Bengals 31, Jaguars 27. Obviously, the big story in this game, Joe Burrow out. The turf toe injury is going to be out for 3 months. I know there's people out there that are going to say, go out there and get Kirk Cousins. Dude, do you know how much money Kirk Cousins makes? $40 million a year. They have $11 million in cap constraints. And if you sign Kirk Cousins and then you get rid of him after this year, he's a $45 million dead cap hit the next 2 years. I'm going to tell you this. If you're a team that has 40% of your salary cap dedicated to Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson, 40%. You think you're going to bring in another quarterback that's not going to start for you in the playoffs if you make it there? He's out for October. He's out for November. He's out for December. Joe Burrow will be back for the playoffs if you make it there. So you're going to have a $40 million backup. You're going to take Atlanta's problem, make it your own when you already have 40% of your salary cap on 4 players. I just don't see how that is going to happen. So it's easy if you're like, oh, we'll get Kirk Cousins. Are you paying attention? This isn't baseball. Next, Mac Jones. Next up, Jameis Winston. Those are the 2 guys that I would look at. More Jameis. I would look at Jameis first. He's the 3rd string quarterback for the Giants. Russell was fantastic for the Giants against the Cowboys as they lose in overtime. Aubrey, the kid Aubrey's really good. And I think, yeah, Carlos brings it up too. When you look at it, Jake Browning, a good backup and knows the system, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. You probably stay with him, but you need a viable backup, and I think Jameis is the guy. I think you go out there and get Jameis for sure. But again, we talked about this a little bit before. You saw the back and forth. You saw the arguments in that game with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. Like, you don't see that with Todd Bowles on the sideline. You don't see that, and that's why you got to be very, very careful with getting rid of certain guys. Giants lose a heartbreaker 40-37 against the Cowboys. One of the more entertaining games of the day. Russell Wilson, 450 yards. Malik Neighbors was balling, Wan'Dale Robinson. But that kid Aubrey is good, man. He is easily the best kicker in the league. That dude's a beast. Beast. Rams win 33-19. Solid game for them. Devontae Adams looks to be, I mean, it's got to be nice for Devontae Adams to be able to go to a place like LA and play for a future Hall of Famer and Matthew Stafford. Oh, look, there he is. Rob is in the house.
What's going on, Jay? How are we doing today?
I'm good, buddy. All right. Tell everybody what you said, and we'll get all the listeners. Rob's a letter carry up there in the NY. Go ahead. What do you got?
So I have a little bit of a predicament. My wide receiver is currently in my fantasy football league, not the one that we're in.
Okay.
I have Deebo Samuel. I went a little rookie heavy, as I usually do, and I have Hunter and McMillan doing okay, not great. And I also have Quentin Johnson on the Chargers. Now, my issue at hand is that my running back's great. I have Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. I'm looking real good.
Okay.
But I got to offer for Deebo Samuel for A.J. Brown.
Ooh.
So my issue at hand is Brown really going to be this bad all year? Because I did get Deebo in like the 9th round, new offense with the Redskins. I thought was going to be great, but they're not looking too great themselves. So that's kind of my issue right now at hand.
All right, so here is my suggestion here is The problem with AJ Brown is he's in an offense where at some weeks they just completely forget about him, like they saw in week 1 against the Cowboys, right? And they're going to be run heavy. So AJ Brown, to me, you have Devontae Smith. You know that they run the football with Saquon. That's always something to be cognizant of. Deebo Samuel, I was very worried about him because I got him in our league late after him being on my team last year. I didn't keep him, but I drafted him again. And I was wondering.
Same thing in this other league.
Yeah.
I actually redrafted him myself. Like, all right, let's see what I can get for him.
The one thing about Deebo that is a disadvantage with him is that he is prone to getting injured, right? So that's something to be cognizant of. But what we've seen through 2 weeks is that Deebo Samuel is being utilized in this Washington offense with Cliff Kingsbury, just like he was in San Francisco. So I would be very hesitant to get rid of him because the way that you utilize, like if you don't throw the ball to AJ Brown, you're not going to have him involved. Like they can run the ball with Deebo. They can throw the ball short. Exactly. They can throw medium. You can throw the long passes. I would probably hold on to Deebo for now, but it's tough because you always have kind of that injury thing lingering in the back. So maybe if you make that trade, maybe you make it a little bit later on in the season. But as far as right now, you know that he's going to get the ball in a multitude of ways when we just don't really know that about AJ Brown.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, you asked me this last year, it's like it's a no-brainer. Deebo for AJ Brown. Yeah, why not? But this year it just seems totally different. I thought I knew game 1 was a fluke for Brown. 0 points, that's not going to happen. But seeing how run heavy they were against the Chiefs and seeing, like you said, Smith getting the ball a lot, they're going to be all over AJ Brown. Barkley can catch the ball out of the backfield. Is he going to put up numbers like he usually does compared to Deebo, who can get the end around, short passes, long passes. He's quick still. You may have swayed me to keep Deebo because he's always been really good to me when he's on the field.
Right.
Obviously.
And I look at it as targets, right? And Deebo had 8 targets yesterday. So when I look at, and he's the number 6 player in fantasy right now. So I'm always looking at targets. He had 10 in week 1, 8 in week 2, and AJ Brown, sometimes it's a boom or bust. And now they play the Bucs in week 4, and the Bucs have done a really good job against AJ Brown in the past too. So, maybe he does good next week, but the week after that, we don't really know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, my brother. Thanks for calling, bro. I love you. We'll talk soon.
Okay, love you too, man. Talk to you later.
All right, buddy. See ya. One of my best friends in the world right there, my guy, Rob. So I think we answered this question, right? I mean, we got it going. I would do this. It's tough with a guy like AJ Brown because he's such a physical freak. He's a force. But Deebo's been balling out. Deebo's been balling out, man. So you just got to tip your hat. He's been crushing it. Jeff Taylor, scratch a t-shirt idea. Let's go straight J Recher pod jerseys. I like that, buddy. That's funny. Keep Deebo. Give it a few weeks and see Sergius with me as well. The t-shirts are coming out soon, buddy. You can. I'm looking forward to it, man. Can not wait. Hold on, just going through some of the stuff. All right, cool. Other stuff in the NFL. Some of these other games. Patriots win, Niners win, Jets 30-10. They lose to the Bills. Absolute whitewashing once again. Jets will be the Buccaneers' opponent in week 3. So if the Bucs can win this game, they're staring at a 3-0 record against and then playing Philly in week 4. Watch out now. How about the Colts, man? The Colts with a 29-28 win. Daniel Jones looking pretty solid there in that Shane Steichen offense. Now, part of the reason why I thought that Anthony Richardson would have a chance is because you have a guy like Shane Steichen who did yeoman's work with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Well, that didn't happen, but you see what he's able to do with Daniel Jones. He looks like a different quarterback. And I know the Giants did good yesterday. I don't know if Brian Dable is the man. Like, how much of that is the game plan, the scheming, the learning, the teaching, and how much of that is just like Russell Wilson knowing how to play the quarterback position and knowing where the deficiencies are, getting the ball out of his hands quick to Wan'Dale Robinson, utilizing a top 10 pick in Malik Neighbors, right? Like, so I don't know, man. It's kind of a funky type of thing, but good for Daniel Jones, good for the Colts. They're 2-0. I want to talk again about the Bears and the Lions. I told you guys about this if you were listening a couple weeks ago. I thought that was the easiest game to pick from the weekend. I thought the Lions would just absolutely destroy them, and they did 52-21. Jared Goff only 5 incompletions, 5 touchdowns. But you just watch again, Caleb Williams. It just doesn't look right, man. It just doesn't look right. I just don't know how this is going to work. Ben Johnson looks frustrated already. And if you have everything working in your favor, and you still were able to score 3 touchdowns, but there's just something off, man. There's something off with that whole situation. I don't see how that works with Caleb Williams. And I saw something from Colin Cowherd the other day when he was talking with Tom Brady. Year 2 by Thanksgiving, you should have an idea. And we'll see about Caleb Williams. I just don't see how that's going to happen. Arizona moves to 2-0 with a win over the Panthers, 27-22. And then the Eagles and Chiefs, we mentioned that a little before. With Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, just something off with the Chiefs, man. I think you need to almost reinvent yourself when you're in the middle of a dynasty with a great quarterback. And you saw what the Patriots were able to do. What's going on in the Jeremy Lowe? Happy game day to you. You saw what Bill Belichick and the Patriots were able to do kind of over time of having the discussion of early on knowing who the guys were, right? Running the football. You had the Kevin Falks of the world and the Deion Lewises and all these different guys over time. You had Corey Dillon in there and Deion Branches. And it was more like about the kind of the collection of the parts. And then as you went along, then you started getting the Wes Welkers and the Julian Edelmans and the Rob Gronkowskis, and you have Randy Moss, right? So like it changed. The defense, you know the defensive standouts that they had with Willie McGinnis and Vince Wilfork and Sayal and Brewski and Vrabel and all these different guys, McCourties and Ty Laws and Asante Samuel. Like there was just so many different players throughout the years. But when it got a little stale, they were able to kind of freshen it up and kind of change how they were going to attack you. The team that beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl very early looked a lot different than the one that beat the Rams with Jared Goff, right? So I look at that same type of thing when you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs thing, where I feel like they're at the end of their first run. Now, could it be with a different head coach? Yeah, I think it could be. Does Andy Reid want to move on? Maybe. But you have to realize that we are now at, I think, the end of chapter 1 when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. Such a fantastic quarterback. Love the way he prepares. Andy Reid's 67. I still think he's got, 6 or 7 years to go. I think he wants to see what that second chapter looks like, right? And you could argue, all right, chapter 1 was with Tyreek Hill. Chapter 2 was without Tyreek Hill. Chapter 3, then, is going to be without Travis Kelce. He's just not as locked in. He's not as focused. You can see dropping some of these passes. He's getting pissed off on the sideline. He's just not the same guy. His focuses are more outside of football than it is, in football. Not right or wrong. It's just part of life. You start thinking about what happens after football, then you just naturally – you hear this all the time. When people start talking about retiring, right, it's just a matter of time before it happens. And when I look at this situation with him, I just sorry. You have to find a different way to get it done. Defensively, I thought they've been a lot better than people have given them credit for. With Chris Jones up front, McDuffie and Bolton, all these different guys, like a lot of these under-the-radar type guys that do such a great job. But offensively, they have to continue to find ways to build a new identity. You need, all right, what's this next iteration going to look like? Are you going to be a little bit more run-heavy? Are you going to try to find another tight end? Are you going to, you have all these flashy dash receivers. Maybe you need some big targets, right? There was no Randy Moss before Randy Moss went to New England. You need to find a game changer. You need to find a guy like that is going to be a top 5 like wide receiver in the league. You need that type of dude, not a guy that you're going to get at the end of the first round that's really fast and you're hoping that he can kind of replace that Tyreek Hill element of the team. They need to change it up because I think this has gotten stale, and I think they're in trouble because their division has gotten better. I think the entire league, the entire conference has gotten better. So this could be an opportunity for these other teams. You know, can the Bengals hold down the fort until Burrow gets back? They banked 2 wins, so that's a good start. Could this be the year for Buffalo? Could this be the year for a team like Baltimore, right? So now you're starting to look, all right, who can make a difference? Who can really take a step forward and kind of fill that void? I think, I don't want to say a rebuild, but they need to reload. And it's 0-2. Could they come back and make the playoffs? Yeah, sure they can. But it's not going to be easy because you're relying on Herculean performances from Patrick Mahomes every week, and you just can't win that way. It needs to be everybody. It needs to be everybody. All right. Again, follow my friends over at Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. This has been a very fun show. My guy Rob calling in, Ian Beckles joining us on the program as well. But I want to finish the show talking about the incredible match that we saw on Saturday night. The boxing bout, one of the greatest boxing matches that I've ever seen. Terrence Bud Crawford against Canelo Alvarez, with Terrence Bud Crawford winning over Canelo. And I thought it was one of the most intelligent boxing matches. You want to talk about the sweet science. That's exactly what it was. Now, the big discussion was obviously Bud going up in weight, you know, and how he was going to handle with not only Canelo's power, but if he was able to kind of have his power go with him, right? Are you going to be able to match power for power? You're going to lose some of your speed going up in weight. Well, there were no issues for Terrence Bud Crawford. And follow with me here because I was really paying attention to the game plan. So the one thing I love about Terrence Crawford is he's the type of guy that your trainer, your coach is telling you to be like when you're in the corner between rounds. Double up the jab, triple up the jab. Don't stand right in front of him. Don't just, counter with 1 punch, counter with 2 and 3 and 4. Like, he does everything that your coach tells you to be. I loved watching. It was a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece of what he was able to do. He used the jab multiple times. 1, 2, 3, 4. He was hitting him almost like half speed with some of these punches in the combos and then finishing with one big crack. He did a really good job of noticing that when Canelo was almost using that left hook to the body, almost like we see in MMA with the leg kicks, right? Chop him down a little bit, gauge the distance. But what Bud did really well is Bud noticed that. And when he went to the body, he was understanding like, hey, I got to take that. And to take that, I'm going to counter with 2, 3, 4. It was so smart because a lot of times a guy will just kind of eat that and just not pay no mind. As soon as Canelo went to the body, Bud stepped in, boom, 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 boom. Loved it. Also, Bud realized that Canelo's straight right is just as fast as some other people's jabs. It's one of the best punches that we've seen in this generation. Like, his straight right hand gets on you so fast. And Bud did such a great job of rolling, changing distances, and also getting a piece of it. Just using his glove to just get a because that's a hard punch, man. And he had to eat some. He understood that he had to eat some to be able to give some. But he was very cognizant that Canelo just so quick with that straight right. Doesn't need to set up, doesn't need to be a 1-2, just that straight 2. Excuse me. It was just a dynamite punch. And I love that, with Bud, he's a lefty. And you could practice against lefties all you want, but we see this whether it's a pitcher in baseball or a lefty in basketball. Lefties are just quirky, man. They're different. And just his kind of herky-jerky type style, in and out, moving his feet. I don't think he was running. I think he was just being smart. His ring generalship was fantastic. And when he got backed up into the corner, he was able to circle out. I like that there was like 2 or 3 times that they came together and clutched and held, and they went back to boxing. And I just love Canelo. When he needed a round, he won the round. And then Crawford won another 1 or 2. And then Canelo came back and he won the round. Like, it was such a good boxing match. And I'm glad that the judges got it right because Crawford won that fight. He was the better man. And good on Canelo being able to take this fight and not trying to be scared, not running. He's taken on all comers in his career. I have nothing but respect for Canelo. But Terrence Bud Crawford etched his name in the history book Saturday night. He is the best fighter of this generation. Just like Floyd was the last one, this is the Terrence Bud Crawford era. The way he beat Errol Spence, who a lot of people thought was his peer, his, 1-2, this is going to be it. And then to go up and wait and beat an absolute savage in Canelo Alvarez. Like, it was just one of the smartest game plans that I've seen in combat sports history. Smart, intelligent, and you're not going to knock out Canelo. But there was one shot, and somebody put it on video. I just saw it earlier this morning on Twitter. And I think it might have been in the 10th or 11th round where he hit Canelo with a shot, and Canelo was just his head moved, and then when he came back, and he was like, it was almost like that meme with Swaggy Nick Young when he's like, Canelo had no answer for him. He had no answer for him, and it wasn't like the Floyd type of thing. Floyd was different. He's moving and shaking and chucking and jiving and using the shoulder rolls, and it was different, man. It was different. What Bud was able to do, he was able to be aggressive, and he was able to beat Canelo at times at his own game, to be able to stand in the pocket there and to be able to hit him with some uppercuts on these counters. Like, I was just so impressed. It was everything that I wanted it to be. I don't need to see a big firefight all the time. I don't need to see a bunch of knockdowns. Like, yeah, of course, that's like what you want to see in the movies, but you want to talk about intelligence. Two fighters who knew exactly what they were doing. Loved it, man. Loved it. I was just such a huge fan of that fight. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. Still not feeling 100%, but I powered through for 96 minutes because I love y'all. Big thank you to my guy, Rob, for joining the program today. Ian Beckles for his weekly chat at 12:30. And, of course, our big-time sponsor, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. I can't say enough nice things about all of you out there and all the support. 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Come check us out. I'm going to do my best to stop by the Dignitary Cafe. Hopefully I'm feeling a little bit better. Still a little bit under the weather, but sometimes when I go over there, I get a little extra boost, a little extra pep in my step. But I love you guys. Please continue to support, and hopefully the Buccaneers can come home with the dub tonight in Houston against the Texans. I love you all. See you tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher Podcast. I am gone.